I studied it, learned about it, and I came away saying, okay, my opinion 5 years ago was wrong. Here's my opinion today. This is what I believe in today. I believe the opportunity today. I believe Bitcoin is legitimate.
That was Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, which is a pretty big deal considering BlackRock owns the entire world. No, they don't, but we'll get to that in just a minute because there's been a lot of exciting new developments in the crypto space since my last video. This week, there's going to be a Bitcoin conference held in Nashville, Tennessee, and Donald Trump is supposed to be one of the guest speakers. So right now, the internet is just taking a guess that if the former president, Donald Trump, becomes president again, he could soon declare Bitcoin as what's called a strategic reserve asset. What a strategic reserve asset is a stockpile of resources for a country to use so that if it needs to, in the case of an emergency, it can use those resources to stabilize the market. It's almost like a savings account, but for an entire country. And one example of how the United States uses strategic reserve assets is something called the SPR. The SPR is the Strategic Petroleum Reserves, which today is the biggest emergency stockpile of oil in the world. Now, why it was created is because in 1973, the oil-producing countries of the world, or OPEC, placed an embargo on the United States as punishment for supplying the Israel military with resources which those countries did not like. And because the US didn't want to depend on OPEC for its oil, in response to their embargo, the US government created the Energy Policy and Conservation Act 2 years later in 1975. And that was the birth of the SPR. So think of SPR as a savings account denominated in oil. Now, side note, the SPR is supposed to hold over 700 million barrels of oil, but today we're down to 366 million, which is the lowest level since the 1980s. But that's just one example of a strategic reserve asset. Now, besides oil, there's other commodities like gold that the United States could use. So it's not just one thing, it's a combination of many things. And right now, there's rumors that Bitcoin could become a part of this strategic reserve asset policy on the US balance sheet. If that happens, I want to help explain exactly what it could do to Bitcoin's price and what it means for the crypto space, as well as some of the other super exciting things that have been happening. So let's get into it. Hi, my name is Andrei Jikh. Hope you're doing well. Come for the finance and stay for the crypto. So first, let me cover everyone's favorite topic, which of course is the price. Because Bitcoin's price dipped all the way down to the 50s this month, and why it happened might someday be known as one of the biggest financial mistakes that a country has ever made. Even worse than the Bitcoin pizza story. Because instead of selling 10,000 Bitcoins for 2 pizzas, Germany got a hold of 50,000 Bitcoins from an illegal music sharing website and then sold it for almost $3 billion. Now, that's a lot of money, but how much is it for an entire country? Time will tell what that money will eventually be worth, but that's one of the reasons why the price dipped, is because of selling pressure of 50,000 Bitcoins by an entire country. Now, the second reason why the price dipped is because of Mt. Gox. Now, if you're not old enough to remember, Mt. Gox was the world's first official crypto exchange. That's where people used to buy, sell, and even hold their coins. Unless you were a super savvy computer tech nerd, you were probably holding all of your coins on that website. But what people didn't really know at the time is that Mt. Gox used to be a forum for Magic the Gathering, the trading card game. So it didn't exactly have the best security. And eventually, the exchange was hacked and the coins were lost to history. Or so we thought, because after 10 long years, people are finally starting to get a portion of their money back, which of course today is worth a lot more money than it was back then. The market is just afraid that a lot of those people could end up selling their coins, which creates more selling pressure, which creates more fear, and the price goes down. But those are the two major reasons why the price has been all over the place. But what's even crazier is that the price going down didn't last that long, and the price recovered because of all the crazy bullish news that's happening. So here's what's going on. First, I just want to quickly say that throughout this video, I'm not asking anyone to buy or invest in anything. My financial journey is for your transparency, it's for your education and entertainment. And that includes showing you the tools in the apps that I use to invest with. And that's why I want to quickly take the moment to thank the sponsor of this segment of the video, Gemini. Gemini is a US-based company out of New York. They're heavily regulated by the government. They're available in all 50 US states and 70 countries. They're also a full reserve cryptocurrency exchange and custodian. They were founded in 2014 and have been a crypto native since day one, and they're offering new eligible users the opportunity to earn $100 in Bitcoin when they trade $1,000 in crypto in the first 30 days of signing up. Gemini also has tools for new and advanced traders. I personally use their active trader to buy my Bitcoin because I found it's one of the cheapest options out there, and then I transfer it off the exchange to a hardware wallet, but their team has been around since the early days of crypto, and they're super focused on the fundamentals like security and transparency. Features like passkeys support their industry-leading account security standards and are an important way to keep their accounts safe. You can sign up and start trading with Gemini today to earn $100 in Bitcoin with my link down below, but please use common sense. Don't risk your life savings. Crypto can be risky, so please stay safe. Thank you, Gemini, for sponsoring this segment of the video, and now let's get back to it. So here's what's happening. Let me take you back to Cathie Wood's price prediction for Bitcoin by the year 2030.
The forecast was, our bull case was $1.5 million in 5 years, so that would have been 2027. We still have time.
Cathie gave 8 big picture macroeconomic reasons that were very well thought out on why Bitcoin could be worth anywhere from $258,000 all the way to $1.5 million a coin by the year 2030. Keep that chart in mind because I'm going to show it to you again soon. What's happening is the market is predicting that the former president, Donald Trump, could become president again. And if he does, he could fulfill one of the categories on that chart. And how we know that?
Look it up. You're going to be very, very surprised.
Just checking if you're still awake. Now, why the market is actually predicting all this is because it was reminded that Donald Trump is a very pro-crypto candidate. Because here's what he actually said about Bitcoin at a couple of his rallies.
I will ensure that the future of crypto and the future of Bitcoin will be made in the USA, not driven overseas. I will support the right to self-custody to the nation's 50 million crypto holders. I say this with your vote. I will keep Elizabeth Warren and her goons away from your Bitcoin. And I will never allow the creation of a central bank digital currency.
So all that's really good news for crypto, but it's not just Donald Trump. It's also his pick for vice president, J.D. Vance, who even once gave a talk about tokens and crypto and the SEC. So overall, we know that Donald Trump and his cabinet, the people that he'll choose to run the country, are very pro-crypto. That means if he's reelected, he could make Bitcoin a strategic reserve asset. And here's what that means. Let's go back to Cathie Wood's prediction. A strategic reserve asset would fall under this category here, the nation state treasury. So think of the United States Treasury buying some Bitcoin for its own reserves. So the market speculating or guessing that that could happen is what's driving the price of Bitcoin up this month. But the question is, if it does happen, how much would it really affect Bitcoin's price? And the answer is probably not that much. In all 3 of Cathie's predictions, Bitcoin becoming a reserve asset doesn't have much of an effect on its price. And you can see that the blue portion of the chart makes up a very small percentage. And that's because realistically, even if that happens, the United States is not going to start adopting Bitcoin as its main financial strategy and YOLO everything. So it's not going to budge the price in any meaningful way. But if Mr. Trump is reelected, there could be 2 other levels that could have a huge effect on Bitcoin's price. Those 2 categories are digital gold and institutional investment. In all 3 predictions, these 2 categories play the biggest roles in boosting Bitcoin's price. So now the question is, how exactly is Mr. Trump going to get Bitcoin to challenge gold and companies and institutional investors to start buying up some Bitcoin? And I think the answer is BlackRock. Now, if you're not sure who they are, they own and control the entire world. Just kidding. BlackRock is the biggest asset wealth management company in the entire world with over $10 trillion in assets under management. But they don't actually run the world. I mean, maybe they do. They might be the Illuminati, but I don't think so. They do have a lot of resources and a lot of influence, but they don't own the stock market any more than Robinhood owns the stock market. Remember, their business model is to manage money for their wealthy clients. So all that money that BlackRock has is mostly their clients' money. It's weird that I have to make this distinction, but I feel like it's important in this day and age. Now, Larry Fink, who's their CEO, was a huge skeptic of Bitcoin for a really long time. And just a couple days ago, in an interview, he came out as a big believer of Bitcoin, and here's what he said.
I studied it, learned about it, and I came away saying, okay, my opinion 5 years ago was wrong. Here's my opinion today. This is what I believe in today. I believe the opportunity today. I believe Bitcoin is legitimate. That allows you to have maybe uncorrelated, non-correlated type of returns. I believe it is an instrument that you invest in when you're more frightened, though. It is an instrument when you believe that countries are debasing their currency by excess deficits, and some countries are. I believe we have countries where you're frightened of your everyday existence, and if you have an opportunity to invest in something that is outside your country's control, then you can have more financial control. And so I'm a major believer that there is a role for Bitcoin in portfolios. I believe you're going to see that as one of the asset classes that we all look at. I look at it as digital gold, as I said before, and I believe there's a great industrial use for it. And I think a lot of people are missing that.
Now, why all of this matters so much, though, is because if companies get a green light from the most respected wealth management institution of all time, they could start to add Bitcoin to their balance sheets, just like Michael Saylor did with MicroStrategy and Elon Musk did with Tesla at one point. And the same is true for challenging the market dominance or the market cap of gold, which I could see accelerating when wealth managers start to advise their younger clients, which are starting to inherit money from the greatest generational wealth transfer of all time, that they should also have 1% of Bitcoin in their portfolios instead of or in addition to their parents' gold. But now let me just sort of tie all of this together. Please keep in mind that from this point onward, it's just one opinion. It's one random guy on your phone's opinion. But the way I see it happening is deregulation, which is what Donald Trump is standing for, also favorable crypto legislation, and hopefully a new SEC that does not stand in the way of building crypto businesses. You add all that up, and it's a huge deal. Now, by themselves, all these popular people talking about Bitcoin doesn't really do anything for Bitcoin's price. When someone famous mentions Bitcoin, it only affects the price in the short term. And that's good for people that like to trade because volatility can create some opportunities to make some money. But what really matters is the long term. If Donald Trump manages to get reelected, and if he announces Bitcoin to be the strategic reserve asset, even though by itself, I don't think the buying pressure will have much of an effect on Bitcoin's price, what I think it will do is it will give the confidence for other countries to follow the United States. We could lead by example, and I think Mr. Trump understands that. And it's not just other countries, it's other corporations buying Bitcoin and adding it to their balance sheet as well. And in the long term, that will have compounding effects on Bitcoin's price, and maybe this year we could start seeing some fireworks and price predictions coming true. But I think that by removing people that stand in the way of crypto's progress, that allows crypto companies to compete with the old financial systems that are so outdated. And that's what I think will grow the system in the long term. Now, personally, I don't know what I don't know, so crypto and Bitcoin still represents anywhere from 20 to 25% of my portfolio, and that means I'm not gonna make as much money. That's the downside. But the upside is, if I'm wrong, and a bunch of other people that are way smarter than me are wrong, and this stuff is worth zero tomorrow, then I should be just fine because I have the other 75% to work with. And I'm okay with that. That's personal finance. It's personal to me, but I'd love to hear your strategy and what you think. And as always, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to grab your free stocks. Links are down below. Go track them automatically with the spreadsheet link down below in my Patreon. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'd love to see you back here next week. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.